We got a bunch of huge Nebraska football nuggets today. The Huskers have a brand new transfer target who just entered the portal. There's been a shakeup in the recruiting rankings. A Nebraska commit jumped up to a top 200 player. A 4-star wide receiver who is brand new is scheduling a visit to Lincoln. And then I'm going to recap an exclusive press conference between Deion Shorts, Phil Simpson, and Phil Snow, and everything you need to know about what they said and so much more. So really quick, jam-packed show today. Hey, hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan, you're unsubscribed, and you support what I'm doing here, daily Husker football content updates just like this, please hit that subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds. It's the best way to support my channel. Once again, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get into it. Going over the news, a bunch of nuggets regarding Nebraska football dropped today, and they are big ones, to say the least. I want to get things started with a potential Nebraska transfer target who just entered the portal. This is a starting cornerback coming out of Tennessee, Ricky Gibson. Now, Ricky Gibson played 2 years with the Vols, played as a true freshman, was one of the best true freshmen in all of SEC football, and then last year in 2024 started the entire season for Tennessee. And looking at his stats, again, he's a true corner. He's 6 foot tall, 185. He had 32 tackles on the year, 1 forced fumble, 3 passes defended, and just overall was one of the more consistent players on that Vol defense. And again, it was announced yesterday that he will be entering the transfer portal. Now, there's a lot of Nebraska connections here. It should be noted that Nebraska's secondary coach Addison Williams offered him when he was back in high school and when Addison Williams was at Central Florida. So there was a lot of connections there. This guy is coming out of Alabama. So again, Addison Williams very familiar with that area. And we also know that Addison Williams is being very aggressive in this Nebraska secondary. There's a lot of talent, but there's a lot of unproven guys. He will absolutely take a guy like Ricky Gibson if he can, to add more of a veteran leadership, and another guy who can come in here and compete. Because, you know, Addison Williams, he wants more guys. He wants more guys with starting experience. Ricky Gibson, very, very talented guy. Again, really good speed on him, was a high 3-star prospect, good ball skills. You like that size, you like his tackling ability, and with that Addison Williams connection, feel decently confident Nebraska might be interested here. Now, again, he started last year for the Vols. He's going to have a lot of interest. He's not officially entered the portal yet. He has to wait until the spring window, so basically in about a month and a half. But when that window opens up, he's going to enter, and I expect Nebraska to be involved in a couple other big-time schools. So it's something to watch out for. Put that in the back of your pocket. We'll come back to that probably in April when the portal opens up, but Ricky Gibson would not be shocked Nebraska's interest here. Now, let's just say that Nebraska secondary works out through spring practice. You have a bunch of younger players showing up and playing well, like Larry Tarver, like Amari Sanders. Then maybe you don't pursue Ricky Gibson. But let's say those younger guys aren't playing up to snuff and Addison Williams isn't impressed, then you're going to give this guy a call, and I would imagine he would be interested in rekindling with Addison. So absolutely, guy, I want to put on your radar. Let's talk really quick about high school recruiting. Nayland Scott announced earlier today that he will be visiting Nebraska in April. This is a very high 4-star wide receiver coming out of that Georgia area. 6'3", 185. Bunch of really good offers right now. Arizona State is the favorite to land his talents. But again, what did I tell you guys earlier? Deion Shorts, man, he's been working overtime. He's been working in the dark. You know, there's a lot of wide receivers that we're going after right now that just aren't, public information, because he's been, trying to chip back in their recruiting process. But Nayland Scott, a guy can go up and get jump balls, pretty good speed on for being 6'3". Honestly, just one of the more productive players in the Southeast. Has some good offers here. I mean, you got Georgia involved. He's going to be taking a visit there. You got Michigan. You got Texas A&M. Let's see who else is in here. Florida. You got a bunch of good schools. So he will be visiting Nebraska in about mid-April. It's an unofficial visit. If he has a good time, he'll be back for an official in about June. So Nayland Scott, want to put that on your radar. There's also been a shakeup in the recruiting rankings for the Huskers. CJ Brana, Nebraska's longtime defensive back commit, has been upgraded to a 4-star prospect. Now, you look here at the On3. On3 bumped him up to the 139th best player in the country, the 16th best corner in America. He's just been blowing up recently. We talked about a week ago how, Penn State's been trying to flip him, Syracuse, Florida State. There are some really good schools getting involved here for CJ Brana. But again, I still like where Nebraska stands. I think he's going to sign with the Huskers. He has a good connection with his staff, but it's all about Addison Williams continuing to build that relationship, because he doesn't know Addison Williams. He knows Matt Rhule, maybe. He doesn't know Addison Williams, so hopefully he can continue to build that relationship with him. But CJ Brana been balling out. He was the MVP at an Orlando camp a couple days ago. He had a 4.41 40, which is blazing fast for a 17-year-old kid, man. I imagine when he gets to Nebraska, he's going to have about a 4.3 40, which is unheard of, man. That's crazy stuff. So, again, he's one of the fastest recruits in America. Feel really good about him. And he's also 6'1" and plays corner. So, you like this prospect a lot. Hopefully, Nebraska can keep him around because he's, again, good kid, good prospect. A couple other Nebraska targets got bumped up in the recruiting rankings. Kelvin Obot, a man coming out of Idaho. Shout out to Kelvin. He got bumped up to almost a 5-star prospect. He's the 37th best player in America now, according to On3. The 5th best offensive tackle. We already know right now it looks like there's basically 3 schools in consideration: Nebraska, USC, Michigan. Now Oregon's also in here, but like where Nebraska stands. Don't love it, but like where Nebraska stands. But he's almost bumped up to a 5-star. Titan Davis, a guy Nebraska is very familiar with, probably the odds-on favorite right now. He got bumped up to the 55th best player in America. So Huskers going for some good ones. And then one more, Luke Waffle got bumped up to the 19th best player in America. A lot of really good schools here: Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia. But he announced that he will be visiting Nebraska in April, so there is a shot for the Huskers here. They're trying to play comeback here in his recruiting process. Shout out to EJ Barthel. He's the one who's really pulling the strings behind the scenes. So I want to give you guys that quick recruiting update, and then I want to recap what happened today in Nebraska's press conference. So the Huskers brand new coaches met with the media today. 3 of them: Deion Shorts, Phil Simpson, and then Phil Snow. I want to talk about Deion Shorts really quick because he had some nuggets to say. I mean, first thing, I really like Deion Shorts' demeanor, man. And I'm going to have a video that talks about him on Friday. He was the best coaching hire this cycle for Nebraska, and it wasn't even particularly close, man. He's incredibly serious. He's incredibly wise, but he's also young. He's also energetic. He talked about every single wide receiver kind of in this room for Nebraska. He said that Dane Key, he leads by example. He's not necessarily a vocal leader, but he's leading by example. Again, he's going to set a precedent for this room. He's going to be our starter, no question about it. He compared Ja'Cory Barney to Tank Dell. He said Ja'Cory's always excited, always happy, always trying to improve himself. Ja'Cory's building up some weight, so he's already been impressed with Ja'Cory Barney, and he expects some big things from him. He talked about Hardley Gilmore a little bit, that Hardley has put on a lot of good weight since he got to Nebraska. He's continuing to mature, and he expects him to be a big part of this offense. You know, he talked about Isaiah Hunter a little bit, and he didn't have a bunch of glowing things to say about Isaiah. He said that Isaiah, he's still figuring things out, that he's, far from a finished product. So that was an interesting change of pace. He was kind of raving about those other 3 guys and didn't really hype up Isaiah that much. Now, we're not sounding the alarm bells on that just yet, because Isaiah is still going to be a really good player. He had 300 yards last year for Cal. But maybe Isaiah is kind of struggling to acclimate to that Nebraska culture. I'm not sure. That's just speculation, but interesting that he kind of did not have a great tone about Isaiah, but he kind of was still optimistic and said Isaiah is going to be a great player. He's just far from a finished product. He talked about Dylan Rhule a little bit. He said that Dylan was in the facility at 6 a.m. when he arrived one day. He was boxing with one of the assistant strength coaches, so and kind of just glowing about Dylan Rhule. But he also said that Dylan needs to continue to improve, that he needs to not be complacent, that he needs to understand he's far from a finished product as well. That's going to be the best for his development. So he said that he likes Dylan. It's hard not to like Dylan. Other than that, he talked about that strong connection with Dana Holgorsen. He said that Dana Holgorsen being added to the staff is such a benefit for Nebraska. Having another pair of eyes who's coached at a very high level. He's going to be very hard on this offense, but he's going to be great for this offense going forward. So that was Deion Shorts' presser. Just basically condensed it all into about a minute or two. Phil Simpson didn't say too much crazy. He really, the only thing that I really took away from this thing is he said there are 3 players standing out of Jack right now. Deshaun McCullough, not a surprise. He said that Willis McGahee standing out Jack, not a surprise. And the third one, Maverick Noonan. Finally, we hear Maverick Noonan's name come up. That's a guy who the fan base loves. Of course, dad is Dan Noonan, so hopefully he can be in that mix this year. He's had a lot of injury problems since he got to Lincoln. So those are the 3 in the Jack room that he mentioned. And then talking about Phil Snow a little bit, he's going to be an analyst on the defensive side of the football, just kind of a veteran who can help John Butler. He just said that he's going to be part of the game planning. He's not going to call plays or anything. But I just really like Phil Snow's demeanor, man. He's pretty energetic for being an old guy. He's been around the block a couple times, but that's good. You want that from an assistant. Again, he's not going to play any part in recruiting. He's not going to really play any part in, again, really practice at all. He's just part of game planning, right? Watching film, getting ready with John Butler, preparing for teams. And that's great. Phil Snow, one of the better defensive coordinators back in his time when he was with Matt Rhule. So you feel good about him being on this coaching staff. He's not something that I'm like super hyped up about, but I like just to have another set of eyes who's done it at a pretty high level at that defensive coordinator spot. So it was cool that they talked to the media today. Gives me something to talk about, but a lot of interesting nuggets being dropped over the past 48 hours. Let me know your thoughts down below. Hey, my birthday is in 2 days on Friday. It would really help me out if you could hit that like button. That would be my birthday gift. Hit that like button and subscribe. Appreciate all of you guys. Hey, if you made this far in the video, again, hit that like button. Also, comment your stuff down below, your thoughts about recruiting. Do you want to take another DB in the portal? Who do you like of Nebraska's brand new hires? Let me know in the comment section. And once again, guys, go Big Red, go Matt Rhule. See you in the next one.